Hey, what's up? It's been a while. I wanted to make a video about the game I made for the Haxe Game Jam this year. Let's get into it. Man, that was a cool intro. Oh yeah, the video. So what exactly was I going to use for this game jam? Well, obviously the language was gonna be Haxe, because it's more about what to use with the language. Now, for the jam, I had a few options, but the main ones I could have used was Haxe or Heaps. I could have used Haxe, but ever since I made my first Haxe video, I haven't used Haxe whatsoever. I haven't touched it, I haven't made anything with it. That one game was the only game I ever made with Haxe, but Heaps was the one I've been playing around with since that video released. So I have more experience with Heaps than Haxe, and I know I can make something with it. And I've already made 2 games with it between the span of that 10 months. Granted, none of them are good, but it just proves I know how to make shit with it. So I chose Heaps. Okay, well I have the engine, but now I just need the idea. The theme was spellcraft, basically making words. And after about 5 minutes of looking at it, it was actually more like 30. I came up with an idea where you're a guy walking around and you have to move these blocks to make words. It's a puzzle game. With that, I had my idea. Now, I felt like it was about time I actually started making the game. On day 1, I just made a simple project, and with any project, we need to open up a window, which I did here, saying it works, in which it does. I had the window, but before adding any sprites, I first wanted to just get the main mechanic down, which was pushing the blocks. And the first thing I wanted to do was just get a player and a block on the screen and checking collisions between the two. So I first made a simple scene and a player, which is just a 32 by 64-bit rectangle that I put on the screen. Then I made it able to move, and there we go, we have the player. Next, I made a block for the player to run into, which was basically the exact same as the player, just 64-bit by 64-bit, that I also put to the screen. Next, I needed to actually do collisions, which was the hardest part of the whole thing, and I ended up not even doing the whole running into it and stopping part, and you'll see later. So let me just go through all that. Spoiler alert, I ended up just ditching the whole collision itself and just moved completely to the pushing part. The first thing I wanted to do was just check if the player was touching the block at all, which was just a simple if statement, and if it was touching the block, it was just change color, which worked expectedly, but I don't want the player to change color. I wanted to run into the block and stop. So what I did was I made a Boolean variable called isColliding, and in the update function, I made an if statement where it checks if it isn't colliding, the speed will be equal to 400, and if it is colliding, the speed will equal 0. It works, but if you run into the block, the player doesn't move anymore because the speed is set to 0. So this is where I struggled a lot. On day 1, I could not figure out how I was going to do this because I did even more checks, but I could not figure it out at that time. So I just went to bed and I saved it for the next day. And on day 2, it did not go any better. Well, it was day 2, and I did a couple things off screen, and it was still not working. I followed these 2 tutorial videos by Lewis Lepton, and it was kind of working. I was able to run into it and move away, but the hitbox on the block was too big, like really big, and I could not figure out why it was happening. I tried a lot, but I could not get it to work. And after about another hour of doing some off-screen stuff, I ended up just ditching the whole Lewis Lepton stuff, and I started looking into this thing called Echo. And I spent about 30 minutes setting something up, and it ended up not working, and I spent another 30 minutes trying to get it to work, but it didn't work. So I had to ditch that as well. And then off screen, I messed with the thing called Box 2D, which, as you'd expect, didn't fucking work. Which at that point, I was really defeated, and I did not know what to do. So I ended up just dropping the whole running into the block and stopping, and just moved straight to the being able to actually just push it part, which was just checking if the player actually intersected with the block and changing the block's X and Y with the player's velocity. And now I had pushing, which took way too fucking long to do.
I'm dumb.
Okay, anyway, with that, I finally had pushing, and I felt it was a good time to actually start making sprites. So I spent a long time making the entire alphabet into blocks. Once I had those sprites, I added 3 more blocks and put those sprites onto those blocks. So now I have different letter blocks I could move around on the screen. Last thing I did for day 2 was I just made the player sprite animations, and then just put those onto the player and made them change every time you press a certain key. And now I have sprite animations for the player. With that, the actual last thing I needed to do for day 2 was to make a little placer block where you actually put the letter block onto to actually make your words, which I did pretty simply by just checking if the block intersects with the block place, and then if it is placed, then it just prints to the console game 1. And then there it is. At that point, I was tired and I wanted to go to bed, so on day 3, I decided to make more block places and make more levels. Day 3, I didn't do much at all. I just made a ton of levels. I made about 10 levels, and had some audio issues, but I ended up just not having audio because of that. But that's basically all I did for day 3. So yeah, not that interesting, but yeah, that's all I did really. I did add a little bit of lore into it, but you'll have to play it to look at that shit. Well, to leave in the description if you want to play it. I don't know. I mean, check it out. I don't care. I don't care. Yeah, just play it. Yeah, that's all I did. But day 4 is when I put it all on itch.io. That's about all I did for day 4. Because I was done with the game, so I mean, yeah. But yeah, like I said before, on the final day, I just uploaded the game to the itch.io, I replayed the game, and then I just turned it into the game jam. I got done a bit early, so I just spent the rest of the few days just editing this very video. I really hope you did enjoy this video. I spent a lot more time editing it and trying to make it a bit higher quality. And the game isn't the best, but it's a good game. It works. It fit the theme, so it's just one of those learning games. And I had a lot of fun making it. I really love the Haxe programming language, and I'll be using it for a long time. I love the community, and make sure you like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you want to see more. I'll also have my Discord in the link in the description, which has so many people in it. But yeah, I really hope you did enjoy the video, and I'll see you all later.